Welcome back to another episode of the Scoop Around the Loop. We have Danny joining us again. Danny, how has your week been?
It has been amazing. Thank you for asking.
Perfect. And we also have Tyler, the taller, younger brother. Tyler, how has your week been?
So it's been very productive so far.
It has been
It's gonna be a
very,
strong
very
line. So
productive.
far so good.
We got a whole rush of things going on before the state fair starts. So how about we start talking about the state fair again? How's that sound?
Yeah, I feel like this would be a topic of conversation over the next couple episodes. But given how important it is to the state of Iowa and especially people in central Iowa, it's worthy of discussion.
It used to be known as the big one, and I don't know if they really call it that anymore, but it is a big deal for Central Iowa. So let's talk about, we already talked about the new food coming, and I believe last week they did taste testing and started giving out awards for that, so we could possibly talk about that later. But today, we are talking about all of the grandstand acts that are scheduled. I thought I would run through it, and then you guys maybe pick one or two that you guys would actually be interested in going to. Does that sound good?
Yee.
Awesome. All
Okay.
right. So starting off August 7th, we have Forrest Frank and Lecrae. So we have some great Christian artists coming through to start the whole thing off. We've got August 8th, we've got Parker McCollum and Josh Abbott band, so some country artists. August 9th, Megan Maroney and Cameron Marlowe. We got August 10th, we've got Pitbull coming in and bringing the party. August 11th, Leonard Skinner with the Outlaws. So we got some old school rock and roll. August 12th, we got Rascal Flats. August 13th, we've got Hairball, which I remember going to see Hairball at the Free Stage like 10 years ago. So quite the glow up for Hairball there. August 14th, we got the show that my dad's most likely to go to, which is Def Leppard with Phil X and the Drills. August 15th, we got some old school country music with Hank Williams Jr. and Old Crow Medicine Show. August 16th, we've got the hitmaker himself, T-Pain, with Charlie on a Friday. And then August 17th, we've got the concert that Tyler is going to take Isaiah to, Kids Bop. Daniela, what one or two, what are you most interested in going to?
I 100% have to go to Pitbull. I don't think
Pitbull?
I've seen him
I know
ever.
multiple people that are going and dressing up as Pitbull. Are you going to go and dress up as Pitbull?
No, most likely. I would say that, and then because I know my husband, he might want to go to T-Pain, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. That we will see. I will say those are my two options.
Did you go to T-Pain when he was in Waukee?
I did not.
I
I
heard
missed a lot of concerts.
I heard really good reviews about when he came to Waukee. So hopefully he could put on a similar type of show. I mean, he has, I don't know if people realize just how many radio hits T-Pain has. I think that would be a really, really good show to go to. Tyler, is
I
it
have
similar or are you going anywhere different with your two favorite?
I'm going a couple places there. I got three.
Okay.
Now, will I actually go to them? That's a bigger question. But I also have some commentary. August 7th, Forrest Frank and Lecrae. I like both of those artists. Definitely both artists that I turn on when I need some, good vibe and good energy and just kind of a shift in my mindset. Something to note, though, Forrest Frank just broke his back like last week or a few days ago in a skateboarding accident or like fractured it. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. With God, all things are possible. So maybe he can still put on a show at the Iowa State Fair. But I'm wondering how that's going to work out. I think hopefully that doesn't leave a lot of people disappointed. Obviously, with the fractured back, can't really blame him for not being able to perform. And he's like a pretty, from my understanding, pretty like lively performer that bounces all around and has a lot of energy. So pretty interested to see that and how that plays out. I don't know, like Lecrae is a big time name. I mean, he's been on the scene since I was a little kid, but I don't know. He doesn't have nearly as much pull as Forrest Frank does these days. I know like my nieces and nephews and my sisters and like people in all different age space or range, a big age range, listen to Forrest Frank. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. August 10th, that is my birthday. Just FYI. So Pitbull came to town for my birthday.
Okay.
Something to think about. And then my actual 2 shows that I'm probably would be most interested in is Hank Williams Jr. I recently kind of developed a taste for that old style of country music. Just something about it makes me kind of bob my head, and yeah, seems like a good fit for the Iowa State Fair. I've never heard of Old Crow Medicine Show, and I would think your dad, if you gave me this list and said which one is Papa Minor most likely to go to, that's the one I would have picked. I'd take him for Hank Williams guy. No,
he's not the biggest country guy.
See, I can't get a read on that, man. I got to be around him more often, I guess.
If he were to pick 2, he'd probably be saying Leonard Skinner to Def Leppard. He's seen Def Leppard in concert twice already, though, so I don't know how eager he is to go again. But if I could talk him into it, I'm going to go with him.
Well, good for him. I'm surprising you with his musical taste. And then, not that I can't see him listening to those other 2 bands either. I don't take him for like a Pitbull guy. And then August 16th, T-Pain. That's by far the best one to me. A lot of, like you said, he has tons of hits. I mean, I just can think of like 12 off the top of my head and like the exact tune, and the music videos of his that I used to watch when my parents weren't home, because otherwise that wasn't allowed back when I was a kid. And a lot of people obviously associate T-Pain with auto-tune, but you guys, either you 2 or anyone out there listening,
he's a good singer.
Yeah, you guys should watch the NPR Tiny Desk episode that he did, and he's got skills. And I've heard a couple of his interviews where he talks about like his use of auto-tune, and he basically says like, it's not because I can't sing, it's just because I like the sound of the auto-tune a little bit better at the time, and I was selling a whole bunch of records using it, so why wouldn't I use it, basically. But I think that'll be a really, really good show, full of, people probably 40 and under. Definitely not anything. People older than that probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. And then
I would say,
Bob, I already have a headache even thinking about that. There's no chance I'm taking Isaiah to that show. Heck no. What Kids Bop are they on right now? Let's see.
The last Kids Bop song I saw was the version of Not Like Us they did.
I mean, their Kids Bop 32 was in 2016, so now and Kids Bop 27 was in 2015, so they had 5 different Kids Bops in between 2015 and 2016. Now it looks like they just do. Oh, it says Kids Bop 50, which is crazy because I feel like I remember when it was like Kids Bop 4 when I was a kid.
Okay, so
overall, a pretty good lineup, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good mix too, and I think you guys just proved it. Like, I think anyone could really look at this lineup and find 1 or 2 shows that they would be interested in going to.
Like August 9th would be. I mean, I think she's good as well. Picking my favorites.
So I'll point out here, T-Pain. The other thing to look up with T-Pain, not only does he have a bunch of hits, you should look up the songs that he's written for people because it is pretty crazy. Oh, we got some participation here. Do I feel Def Leppard will be the best concert at the fair? Dad, the question is are you coming with me? Because what I was just going to say is if Dad wants to come, I'm going to Def Leppard. Pour some sugar on me.
I do think I have to think either them or just because of the pop culture, like, humor that comes out of it, Pitbull. It was going to be a pretty lively night again. A bunch of people with like bald heads walking around.
Yeah, Pitbull also has a ton of hits. The only thing that I would be curious at with the Pitbull show is I feel like a lot of his popular songs are featuring another artist. So I don't know how that plays if that other artist is not actually there with him, would be the question.
I really hope he plays those songs.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna go Def Leppard and T-Pain would be the two that you would see me at.
Sure. I think and I'm jealous. I've been talking trash to her since then. She's going to T-Pain with a bunch of her work friends. She did so without even consulting with me, seeing if I was interested in going. But I won't be that husband that crashes on girls' night. Even though I really want to.
Andrew's popping in to say all these bands would be more fun to see in air conditioning. Thankfully, Andrew, most of these shows start later at night. So I would say you're kind of a wimp if you can't handle the heat at 7 or 8 p.m.
From a younger brother's perspective, he can't.
This is coming from someone who went to Hinterland last year in the middle of the day. I think I can survive going to these Grandstand acts at night. So, also, speaking of Hinterland, next year the weather is looking a lot. Next week, that's playing and the weather is looking a lot better. So I'm very jealous of the people that chose to go to Hinterland this year.
Feels moist.
That's what Andrew said. He said still humid.
Yes, he said it's still humid. Sure. Corn sweat. We'll blame it on the corn sweat. Yeah, and then also I would encourage people, it would be a huge slide if I had to put it all together. Look through the free shows that they're doing too, because there is a lot of cool free shows to go to at the Iowa State Fair. We have Andrew popping in to say, let's be honest, some people need that person in their life to tell them to wear deodorant. Is he talking to you there, Tyler?
Maybe, but I've already told you, both of you guys know I'm a sweaty dude and I'm very self-conscious about my smell. I am deodorant company's best friend because I apply deodorant like 7 times a day.
No worries, you don't smell.
All right, let's pop over to this has already started. It started this weekend and it's ending this Saturday, but I thought it would be fun because for the most part, they're riding all throughout Iowa. This year, they decided to swing through Minnesota as well. But RAGBRAI, I wanted to highlight the overnight towns, and I thought it would be fun to run through them and just say if you guys have any fun facts or anything you think of when you think of these overnight towns.
What immediately comes to my mind with this is humidity and steam.
Yeah. If my dad's still watching, he can comment his whole story about how he went to the hospital after doing RAGBRAI one year.
Oh, this does not sit well with me for that reason.
They stay hydrated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Day 0, the overnight city was Orange City. Then they went to Milford. Then they're going to Esterville, which I believe is today. Forest City, Iowa Falls, then Cedar Falls, then Oline, and then Guttenberg. Any of these stand out to you, Tyler? Any that you've actually visited?
Yeah, a couple of them actually. Orange City, been there for basketball. We also went to a wedding a couple years ago there, but they have one of the highest. Everyone thinks of Pella as kind of the Dutch place, which they definitely have Dutch roots, but Orange City is much more Dutch if you break down like demographics and stuff. Esterville, they have one of the greatest
high school mascots
ever. They're the Mighty Midgets or something like that.
Yep, they're the Esterville Midgets. They're still called that too.
I saw a news story the other day. It was just like on I forget, Washington Post or something like that. There's a town in Ohio or Illinois or something like that they're called the Mighty Midgets, and everyone's in a huge uproar about it and getting the name changed. So we'll see if it comes for Esterville. Forest City, that's where that big music festival is, right?
Not Hinterland.
No, not Hinterland. There's another one. but maybe not. Iowa Falls. That's
I'll
where
look it up while you keep talking.
Iowa Falls. That's where Oklahoma City Thunder legend Nick Collison is from. Cedar Falls is obviously where Thomas lived for 4 years or 3 years.
What up? Cedar Falls for 4, and then I lived in the Dirty Lou for 2.
Then those other 2, I'm not really all that familiar with, to be honest.
Were you looking at Tree Town Music Festival? Is that the one you were thinking of?
Music Festival, there it is, which makes sense for Forest City. But yeah, again, maybe someday I would do it. I definitely you want to catch me out there for the full thing. I have weak legs, but a route or a day here in central Iowa, you can maybe catch me out. But first things first, I need to get a bike. I can't walk it, I don't think so.
Yeah, Cedar Falls, the home of the UNI Panthers. That I've lived there, like Tyler said, I lived in there for 6 years. I think it is one of the best host cities for RAGBRAI. It isn't as big as, like, they've been to Des Moines before, they've been to Iowa City, they've gone through Davenport, but it's just big enough where there's plenty of space to entertain people. Because you have the hill and because you have Main Street, there's plenty of places for people to go to bars and stuff like that. And it's set up pretty well for camping. When I lived there, RAGBRAI came through there in 2015, I want to say. And it wasn't really even an inconvenience for me because they had all the space to properly host people. And I got a party with all those crazy RAGBRAI people, and it was a ton of fun. I have some former clients from O-Line. Shout out to Mike and Jesse Nelson, and some former clients from Guttenberg. Shout out to Allie and Dominic. Unfortunately, I don't know much about their hometowns, but all I know is General is where they are on a map, to be totally honest. Esterville, like Tyler said, funniest high school mascot. I can't believe it still is a thing that exists. But shout out to them. Small town.
I made a TikTok about it a while back. It was like one of my first ever TikToks. I got like 30,000 views or something like that. And most of the comments were like funny or like telling me to look up other funny high school mascots. And there's mascots out there that are far more offensive, for one, in my opinion. But there's a handful of people like from that area that commented like kind of getting on my ass about like insinuating that this is a crazy mascot name. And like they took a lot of pride in it. But also like their mascot logo is hilarious. It's a short dude in like a wrestling singlet. So that adds to it too.
Is there any other ones that we're going to get sidetracked here? Is there any other high school ones that have always made you laugh? I always thought Boone's was a little funny.
The Toradors or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like was it Clinton?
Okay, so I didn't want to say this out loud, but Nick went ahead and commented. The book Methland was written about O-Line, Iowa. They're one of the meth capitals of the United States. I try to stay mostly positive on this podcast, but
well, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure out there, I have heard that before, maybe. And I've definitely read that book. But I'm curious because I used to hear it was Marshalltown back like when I was in high school too. I'm curious how many towns in Iowa at some point have received that tag. Unfortunately, too many probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, Iowa as a state might be one of the leaders in that, unfortunately. But Danny, do you have any experience with any of these towns?
I only have it with Cedar Falls. I went there to tour. I was thinking to go to college there actually, but I decided not to. But I love it.
Was it good enough for you?
It was just too far from my family that was living here right now. Nothing against them.
Okay.
Then I was actually Googling Gothenburg. Is that how you guys pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I can see why they put that one at the end. The views, the river, everything looks absolutely amazing for.
Very German.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town caught my attention too.
We've talked about this on the podcast before, but like the closer you get to Northeast Iowa, the more beautiful some of those towns get.
Yeah,
I think it's the prettiest part of the state.
Yeah, by far. I think that it gets like tagged with Nebraska in terms of like driving through, but I don't even think it's comparable. Like, I mean, even like, I mean, in all parts of the state, but especially as you head east, it's way better to drive through than Nebraska. And like I go up to Green Bay once a year or so to see a friend, and driving that route, you go up to through Dubuque and stuff. A good 3-4 hours of that drive is actually somewhat scenic, believe it or not, because once you get into Wisconsin, what do they call it? The driftless zone.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of cliffs and bluffs and things like that.
It's amazing. Dubuque.
A road trip.
There's recently an article put out by Wall Street Journal about Dubuque as one of the best small towns in the United States to visit for
I
summer
saw
vacation.
that, but did you see the asterisk that comes with that article?
The author of the article was born and raised in Dubuque.
So maybe a little bit biased. It is a cool town, but I've also like I almost went to school there too. I took a couple because they have 3
what
colleges there. All 3 of them recruited me basketball wise, and I went on a visit to 2 of them. And it's like the oldest city in Iowa, and parts of it are very, very, very old. So that's like my one. Some of it is like should be pushed over probably, but anyway. A question for someone who wasn't born in Iowa, let alone the United States. Danny, do you have any idea what RAGBRAI stands for? It's an acronym.
I do not. I know what it is, the event and everything, but I don't. What is it?
Registers Annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
And then a couple of years ago, didn't they like split it up? And there was another race that like they tried and just like no one participated in or something.
Yeah, because there was drama with the Association of the Des Moines Register. There was another group of people that tried to get a ride started that would go the opposite way across the state, just so they would be a little bit different. They didn't get as many participants, also because if you know how wind generally works, it's not the best idea to ride east to west. So,
and like the sun setting in your face.
Yep, that's another big factor too.
The back half of your day seems kind of miserable.
Yeah. And based on what I know from people that have actually ridden in it, just take it slow. You'll be fine. I mean,
I'm big on watching like travel vlogs. I saw this one lady from Ireland. Her and her friend flew over, and they are participating in this, and they just put one out just like maybe yesterday or 2 days ago about like the start of it. So that's kind of cool. Like again, to the biking community, I'll ride my bike to the ice cream shop, and I have a bike. It's not worthy of going on RAGBRAI. It would fall apart. But to the biking community, this is a really, really, really big deal. So that's really cool that it's in Iowa.
It's my understanding that this is one of the bigger bike rides in the United States every year.
Yeah. And I like how, like there's people and they, like you see in the picture, in full get-ups. But I've also seen people that would be like me where they're just in gym shorts and running shoes, and I think the combo of the two and that it's inclusive to everyone in that regard is pretty cool.
And also all ages too. You will see people like from almost like kids, teens, and then like 60, 70-year-old.
Yeah. I had some cousins that did it when they were like 16, 17, and there's even younger kids that'll do a day or two and stuff like that. They don't get to enjoy all of what RAGBRAI is known for, but I'm sure they have fun.
Yeah.
I saw a friend of mine on social media post a video of a concert maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, and everyone was going crazy and looking like they're having. But the first thought that came to my mind was, I know they stink. Ultimately, that's what's going to keep me away from RAGBRAI, I think.
There are showers available for people who want to stay somewhat clean, but I'm sure some people don't get too crazy with their hygiene during the event. Let's talk about some real estate stuff to end this up. I do want to say RAGBRAI, I do think one of the cooler things about it is going through these smaller towns and giving these smaller towns a chance to kind of highlight what their town is about. And it just kind of emphasizes Iowa nice. I think it was just a year ago, too, that during RAGBRAI, Greenfield raised a bunch of money to help with tornado recovery, too. So I think there's some cool things like that happen pretty much every year on this ride. So it brings in a lot of the money to even the places that you just ride through. I know Norwalk got quite a bit of money into the community when they've gone through Norwalk before and they didn't even stay overnight. It's just a great opportunity.
Yeah, another thing I just thought about too, again, if you're into biking, this is a crazy time of year because the Tour de France it's right in the middle of the Tour de France. If that's something, I don't know if like these people
are staying up to date on it while they're riding there.
Like if that translates like it would for a basketball event with me, like if that's something people actually pay attention to, but a lot of biking taking up.
That's a good one. I think a lot of people, they do keep up with that stuff. And I'm sure it's like a topic for everybody to talk and stay up to date too.
Yeah, I bet this dude in the blue.
Oh yeah,
he knows.
He knows all about.
Come on now,
who's leading and everything like that. Let's talk about some real estate stuff. Danny, if I were to approach you as a buyer, someone looking to buy a home, and I asked you how long does it take, how would you answer that question?
I would say it depends on the market, how many houses they are available, and also it's up to you what you're looking for. If you're looking for new construction, if you kind of have an idea of what you would like, then I don't think it's going to take more than a month probably to find, but I will not be able to give you a specific date. It's until we find the house that feels right for you.
Once they find the house, how long does it take after that?
I will say if they have to sell another house, we will need to wait until they sell their house. But I will say overall, if they don't have to do it, a good 1.5 to 2 months.
Yeah. Tyler, most of your experiences when someone asks you how long it takes to buy, what kind of range do you normally give them?
I usually tell them like 6 months, but then again, give the disclaimer that Danny just gave, where it all just depends. It could be a situation where they say, we're just kind of looking right now, and then they go through a house that they love, and then all of a sudden the process gets sped up and goes much, much quicker. But like in terms of when you first think, all right, I'm going to start looking to buy a home, I don't know, usually you kind of kick around that idea for a month or two, and then you take like a month, it seems like on average, to actually like get pre-approved. Then you take a month to look at a house, you get under contract, and then like Danny said, 30, 45, 60 days. I feel like 45 days. If it was up to me, I think all closings would be like 45 days, just because it's not too long, but it also gives time to fix things that pop up and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really, in terms of the entire process, it's really, really up in the air. In the ideal world, if someone had a lease up in 6 months and they're jumping from renting to home ownership, which I feel like that's the type of customer that, all of our ages kind of deal with relatively often. To me, it'd be ideal to kind of start having that conversation at least 6 months in advance, because I think we all take a lot of pride in making sure our people are well educated on things. And there's something to be said about, like, all right, you meet with somebody, you kind of go over the ins and outs of home buying. And again, this is assuming they don't know anything. And then just kind of letting them sit with it. Again, as quote unquote salespeople that don't actually want to be salespeople. To me, it's kind of nice to start that process early, and not pile things on top of people.
Yeah, when it comes to how long to buy, I think you guys touched on a lot of factors that can either decrease or increase time. I think, Tyler, you mentioned pre-approval. If you're really, really on top of it, you could probably get a pre-approval in 3 to 4 days.
If you're really, really on top of it, and so as a lender, you could technically probably get a pre-approval in like an hour.
Yeah.
But again, there's pros and cons to doing that. If we can avoid doing that, let's avoid doing that.
Yeah. In most cases, I would say, I mean, if it's not number one on your priority list, it probably takes most people 2 weeks to 3 weeks to get a pre-approval. And then how picky is your home search? How specific is your home search? Because some people run into situations that their budget / what they need, a home like that really only comes on the market maybe once a month, 2 times a month. And then it's looking at those homes as they come up and offering on them and seeing if you can get a deal put together. But if your home search is that specific, it's probably going to take you a while.
This is a chance to plug us, and something that you, Thomas, help us out a lot with, and help Danny out with, and help Brady out with. We'll also go find you a house too, if necessary, especially if you do kind of have like weird or out of the box criteria. For instance, I just talked to a past client of mine, and she is wanting to sell her current house and would love a townhome that allowed a fence to be built, which there's not a lot of them. There's a couple listed for sale right now, actually, in the area that she's wanting now. She has a couple months away before she's ready to do it. So will those be available is a different story. But in that case, we could start mailing to houses that fit that specific criteria, a townhome that's in the HOA that allows for a fence to be built.
The other one is townhomes that allow like certain size of dogs too. Townhomes that don't have high HOAs, because if you're getting into older parts of West Des Moines or any other older communities, it seems like some of those HOAs are getting out of control.
We just had a client close. When was that one? On Friday. Their biggest, by far the biggest requirement was a specific elementary school.
Yeah.
So
and I love having buyers that have specific requirements like that, because it makes the search super, super simple. But it's just talking to them about, like, hey, because this is so narrowed down, like you're just gonna have less to look at. But like new construction, for example, I mean, there's a ton of new construction listed. If you're looking new construction specifically, and you don't have any super specific search parameters, I mean, we could probably find you something in a week. And get an offer put together that you would be happy with. So like your home search part could take as quickly as a week, sometimes even a year. That's why it's better. The sooner you start thinking about it, like Tyler was getting to, reach out to us, and we can start to give you a judge if that's going to be a tough search that we're going to have to be patient with, or it's going to be something that's going to be fairly easy and we're going to find something for you pretty quickly. And then once you get that offer accepted, Tyler said he preferred 45-day close. I kind of agree. That's kind of what I would plan on, just because that it's not going to stress you out, and it's not going to stress the lender out. And it's not going to stress the seller out, because when you do a 45-day close, you're so confident that we're going to hit it. So we're not going to delay closing or anything like that. I think that pretty much covered.
Maybe one thing I would add, like, and this is a generality. Is that a word? Is that what you said?
Sure. Yeah, that plays.
It seems like people with like the smaller budgets, in my experience, seem to find a home a little bit quicker, just because like you what's out there is what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, you run into people that have budgets that we kind of know are going to be tough. It's just kind of like, okay,
this is what you can do.
This is our budget. We're looking for this many bedrooms, looking at this many bathrooms. It's like, all right, let's figure out what's available. Let's cancel out the stuff. If it's first-time home buyer, let's cancel out the ones that are saying they only want to do an as-is deal. And let's go look at everything else. And if you find something that you're happy with the condition that it's in, let's see if we can get something put together for it. Like, you know,
okay, when my budget shifts from $360,000, like what this house was, to $1.7 million, I will not buy a house until I have a house that has a basketball court and a house that has a room in the front of the house where I can put my grand piano that I do not play. Those are my 2 requirements. And until those
notes.
Yeah, that's it. But we're going to keep looking until I find those things, because my budget says I can be picky.
Okay. On that note, I wanted to ask you, Tyler, Daniela, I don't know if what your answer will be on this. What's the most showings you've ever done for a client?
30.
30. Okay.
Something like that.
How long did that search take?
A while.
Yeah.
And that was definitely like, I mean, I would do it now if it took that, but I remember that client specifically. That was at like the very beginning of my career. Admittingly, I didn't know.
So that was before like the COVID madness that kind of made the market wonky.
Yeah. And like, I just didn't know, like there's certain things that through experience alone, not because like I'm smart, but like that you can kind of disqualify houses much easier in terms of, you know, location. Now I know because of this job. Before this job, I knew the area around Grandview, and because I lived over there in West Des Moines. But now I feel like I know the whole city like the back of my hand pretty much. So I'm able to kind of like eliminate houses based on location and address and things like that much easier. Whereas before, and I feel like I've just gotten better at like communicating with my clients, like, trust me, like you're not going to like this house type of thing. So in that case, I was in a way kind of getting pushed around and dragged all over the place. But, you know, in the case of like a new construction home, in theory, you could get up there in numbers of showings. You know, you go to a new construction development and you look at 5 houses and 3 of them are the exact same house, but on a different lot, you know, like that can add up pretty quickly. But I mean, Danny could answer when you bought your house, Danny, how many houses did you look at?
Probably, well, I was about to say like 16. But
some of them were like the new build though, you know, and like kind of get grouped together in a way.
I was about to say that. Now that you mentioned that, I would say more like 25 houses, but I was looking for a new construction. So there was probably like 5 houses in the same street. And we kind of just like went over there and looked at them just out of curiosity and to see if we might like something else. And I feel like that makes it easier to be like, oh, I like these. Oh, I don't like on a split level. And
do you think you went to look at enough, or do you almost wish you would have went and looked at more?
I feel like I look a lot pictures, and then that helped me for sure be like, maybe I don't want to go look at that one. Thank you for sending me the pictures. But I feel like I did saw enough houses to know what specifically I wanted. Initially, I wanted a like 2 floors house, and then I ended up buying a ranch just because the most ranches I see, the more I wanted a ranch. I was like, I actually like this feel. This feels like me. I want this open space. So I ended up buying a ranch instead of what I wanted initially. So
I texted my client that I thought of when I made up this question. I texted him to verify. This was a client that I had that was looking, like we were talking about, for a pretty specific home for what he was looking at, a tighter budget. and this was actually in 2021, and we ended up getting an offer accepted in 2022. And I texted him to verify what I remembered. He ended up touring 75 homes, and we wrote an offer on 13. And we were the second best offer, I think, on 8 of those. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the market used to be.
Yeah, that sheet doesn't sound fun at all. I was going to say my brother-in-law, Hannah's brother, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law in 2021 moved here from Houston. They've since moved back, which is kind of funny. I think we wrote like 9 offers, and they were buying it remotely, and like it got to the point where like at the very beginning they would both be on the FaceTime, and then if I remember right, towards the end it was like just like, if you think we like would like the house, just offer on it type of thing. I mean, not actually, but that's kind of how it felt. Like every house we looked at, we offered on. And then one of my good friends from college, he just closed on a house last fall. They looked at 4 houses and wrote on all 4 houses. That's like a dream client right there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously only got they got the final one accepted. But yeah, it can be everything. But I also want people to know, like, this personally, this is like my favorite part of the job is showing homes. Like we don't sell houses without showing homes. So like, please do not hesitate to reach out to look at stuff, even if it's just out of sheer curiosity. We want to go show it to you. Yeah. A, because you're a client, and B, so we can get better at our job too. And it's something that we like.
Yeah. And I have a client right now that actually just got an offer accepted this last weekend. Every single time I showed them a house, they were like, "Oh, I bet you think we're being really, really annoying." And
you don't even know.
I was like, "Trust me, you're not anywhere close to the record. So don't worry about how many showings we're doing." And those clients that were looking for that West Des Moines house in 2021 too, I tell him this all the time. I really, really appreciated his patience, and I thought he kind of attacked it exactly the right way, because even though that market was going crazy, we were running comps on every single one, and we were only writing offers that we felt like made sense. So in the hypothetical world, he was in a position where he could have just been, "Hey, Thomas, like, tell me the number that you think is going to guarantee that we win this offer." And he never did that, because when you're buying a house, the dirty little secret is, like, yes, like if you love it, you probably want to write a winning offer, but the dirty secret is that's where you can build a lot of equity too. And I think the house that he's in, I think he got it at a really good price. He got it at really good terms. And he already has a ton of equity to it. And I think that it's because he was so patient with finding
it. Does he want to sell?
Not this year.
List with Danny?
What's that?
What? Does he want to list with Danny?
Yeah, I think he wants to list with Danny.
It's an option. I never assume that people that buy with me are going to list with me again.
I mean, one thing that I think one thing that kind of cuts down on maybe stress for home buyers, and one thing I try to help out with is like really defining your location. Can you kind of, maybe it's a good question for Danny, can you kind of think of a way or like a mindset people can take on when it comes to location? Because I get it all the time, especially people that like that work from home, or, you know, that are younger. This is their first home. Like, I don't really care where I live. You will care. Like, that doesn't help a whole lot.
100%. And I feel like that used to be me at the beginning. I was just like, wherever, as long as it fits my budget. But then you kind of have to think what's important for you. How's your lifestyle? Do you work out? How often do you go to the gym? Is it important to you to only drive 15 minutes or 45 minutes? Also, do you go shopping a lot? Is it important for you to be near a grocery shop? When you start thinking about those things, you are like, oh yes, I would like to live near the mall, Jordan Creek. I go there often, and that's kind of my lifestyle. Or you like a lot of walkable spaces and you would like to live near downtown and you like more like an active lifestyle and you like to go out of bars and stuff like that. So I feel like the moment that you start thinking more about your lifestyle and what's important for you in your everyday life, you will find kind of the location. And also, if you are in your mid 20s, late 20s, and you are thinking of having kids, you need to also prepare for that. Are you going to be living in that house whenever you have the baby? Who is going to take care of the baby? So always think 2 years ahead if you're planning to be in the same home, at least 2 years.
Yeah, and the kids comment too. I've had a few people reach out to me after they had kids wanting to move because they wanted to be closer to their parents, or just anyone that can help take care of the kids. Having them be really, really close by is convenient. My brother lives, I think, within 2 minutes of his in-laws, and he said that's like one of the most convenient things ever. My sister lives within walking distance of her sister-in-law. She says that that's really, really convenient. So that's something to think about with the kids too, and just being close to like any important friends in your life too. I think that's something to think about. And then all the lifestyle stuff that Danny mentioned. There's also just like resale things to think about too. I know I've talked to multiple people that like, oh, I wouldn't mind if the house backs up to the interstate, and that's cool if that's a home you want to offer on. That's fine.
Like, get a little bit off the purchase price usually too.
Yeah, you get a little bit off of the purchase price. You can normally get a home that's in really, really good condition for the price that it's in. But I always tell them, like, when it comes time to sell this house, it's one of the first things that people are going to mention when they're touring it. So just like know that there's a reason that the home is priced the way it is. Backing up to interstates, being on a busy road, stuff like that is stuff to think about with location too. Tyler, you got anything?
Nope. I think Danny gave a great explanation on that front for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And kind of like, and also like the even buying as a single individual, whether bachelor or bachelorette, is definitely kind of a thought to have. Obviously, it's just kind of different lifestyles, and things like that. Like, and having nobody. I mean, I think a lot of people think about it, but maybe you should give more thought to it. Is like more than likely you're going to sell this house someday. So, like you said, Thomas, like thinking about what that's going to look like. For instance, someone like me, when I showed a house the other day, it was an older house, and like I could barely fit in like the main living area, you know, and like that was one of the ultimate factors why they said no to that house. Was like when we sell it, like anyone over 6'3" isn't gonna like this house.
Yeah,
so keeping that stuff in mind.
You bought your first house before you and Hannah were dating, but not married yet, correct?
Yes, I bought one, and then she bought one, and we did not live together because my mom watches this.
But the house you bought by yourself, you kind of knew in your head that you and Hannah would never live in that house together, correct?
Right. Yeah. The first one I bought, the first house I ever bought, I specifically bought because it was cheap and had 4 bedrooms. So I could then have 3 roommates. And like, I remember the top floor, I couldn't fit, like I couldn't stand straight up in, and that's where our boy Marquis lived. But Marquis fit fine. You know what I mean? And so just, yeah, all those things matter. And once you kind of think through all those things and actually like make a list and that type of thing, I think you can, to circle this and put a bow on it, like I think you can eliminate some houses and kind of bring those showings down quite a bit when you actually critically think about some of this stuff.
Cool. Well, that's the end of the episode. We want to thank everyone that did watch and is still watching. I see we got quite a few people still watching. Thank you for watching. In the episode description, there is a link to follow all the different pages that this podcast is associated with. I would love it if you could pop on Spotify or Apple and follow the podcast and give us a rating so more and more people can start following it, or just go ahead and share this live stream if you're watching on Facebook. Otherwise, thank you guys. Have a great week.